reveal any of the changes that Ken's talked about all week?
No. Yeah, that'll come out in due course, but I imagine there'll be a few changes this week.
Was it a pretty hard selection meeting?
No, it wasn't too bad. To be fair, they're generally pretty good at Port as far as open debate, and there's certainly some guys have earned selection that will be coming in.
Any temptations to play any boys that haven't played much AFL footy?
Yeah, there certainly is. I think we've got a good group of younger players coming through. Certainly, there's some real excitement there for some of the forwards and mids especially, but even a couple of the backs that look like they're going to be very good AFL players. Probably a few of them a little bit too green just yet, but there's certainly some exciting prospects.
What about the players going out? Is it, three or two or three or however many Ken says form-related changes? Yeah,
well, you lose by 70 points, you're probably going to make some adjustments. So, it was certainly a pretty tough week last week. I think we were nearly the last club in the AFL to go through our bad week this year, and last week was our bad week where you ignore the papers and don't turn on the news for a few days. So we get a chance to do something about it on Saturday.
And what's been the focus to make sure it is just that one bad week?
Well, play better, kick more goals, stop more. It was a long way from our standards and who we've been all year. So we certainly have to trust our leaders and our senior players to turn it around. The scoreboard went against us early in the game, and I think we got a little bit intimidated by it and stopped playing our game, and our effort dropped away as the game wore on. So that's certainly something that we don't expect as a playing group.
And the Leaders have been good this year, haven't they?
Yeah,
taking control.
There's been last year. Yeah, there's been some guys in there that are having good solid seasons, really good seasons, and we haven't been. That's the first time this year where we have lost control of the game and not been competitive for an extended period of time.
So Nathan, is it just one or two changes, or is it several changes? Is it a big shake-up?
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Bassett, pretty happy with Youngie's response. Ken said he's all but sort of guaranteed himself a chance to come back into the side. He must be pleased with someone that gets dropped and then responds in that way. Yeah,
Youngie was very good. Certainly probably West are struggling a little bit at the moment in the SNFL, but the guys played strong footy and they have for quite most of the season. And we've been lucky in a way not to have injuries, but there's some guys coming through that certainly look like they deserve selection, and Youngie's been a bit in and out, but he's earned the right to come back in.
Is it tough for Youngie going back to the sample where he plays a predominantly midfield role and then comes up and plays a different role in the AFL side? Does that make it harder for him?
I think that challenges him a little bit. He's most guys get drafted as either an inside mid or a forward, and then they end up somewhere else if they're not in the best couple of those spots. So Youngie was and probably first preference is to play midfield, but we've got some other people in there at the moment. So he's a good player and he can play other roles. And if he kicked a little bit straighter this year, he probably would have played a bit more.
Your defence off turnovers against Essendon was, I think you conceded over 100 points from turnovers. Yeah. What's been done this week to fix that part and that team defence?
117 points. We allowed the opposition too easily through the corridor. Our pressure in the forward line was average. Our midfield accountability was poor, and our defenders didn't win enough of their own contests. So, as a group, we've got to be better.
Is the defence undersized? I think Essendon said after the game that's an area they look to capitalise on because they identified obviously lack of height there in the Port's back three there.
Yeah, that's always an easy thing to do and look at how tall people measure, but height isn't and hasn't been really or rarely is an issue for us. It's more around whether the players can play or not. And Hooker certainly had a good first half, but I thought Jonas did a good job on Danaher, and the speed of the ball movement. I think Essendon had 26 running bounces last week, the most they'd had in 9 years. When the ball's coming in that quick, it's pretty hard to defend.
What can you do as a defensive coach sitting there in the box and, I mean, watching at home on TV, it looked like they were just slicing through the middle every time. It's hard to defend. What can you do as a coach at quarter times, half times?
Yeah, we tried to make some adjustments, and they'd worked for little periods of time, but when the energy and effort is a long way off, and it's the first time this year that it has been, then you're going to be non-competitive, and that's what we were for large portions of the game.
So the debate in selection, did it come down to we've got to trust these guys versus, well, we've got to reward the blokes coming up? So is that what it came down to? And in the end, it's like, well, even though it's only one poor game, we've got to make these changes?
Yeah, it's more around how many runs some guys have on the board compared to others, and whether people were demanding selection in the SNFL. And some guys now in the SNFL are starting to demand selection with their performances. So some will be rewarded, and others over a consistent period of time haven't performed to the level we'd expect. And when that happens, you've got a choice whether you make a change or not, and find out soon enough.
So is this a bit of a wake-up call, I guess, to the seniors to know that there are some of their twos pushing for selection?
I think you've always got to perform at AFL level, and we've generally performed at a consistent level. You say the first 10 weeks we've been pretty consistent, reliable. You've got a genuine idea on that we're going to compete for extended periods of time, and we've also had moments where we've dominated games, and the weekend was the first time where we weren't anywhere near it. So we'd expect an improvement in performance, and an awareness from the playing group that how we performed last week is unacceptable.
So with those areas of concern, have you had to alter training slightly or strengthen a different focal point in training?
Certainly our focus from the weekend is still around our defence and how we defended, and our inside 50 entry. We're not quite getting the return we'd like at the moment when we go inside 50.
What about the defence? Obviously, your game has been based all around defence as much as anything, hasn't it?
Yes.
So that's the number one. You talk about your defenders not being undersized. It's more needed on the field.
Yeah, we've conceded less marks inside 50 than every other team in the competition this year. We conceded 11 marks inside 50 last week, which is average. And when you lose by 70 points, you're going to concede 15 to 20 plus marks inside 50. It was actually on the ground where they got us. So I'm not concerned at all by size of defence. It's more how we defend as a group, and Essendon got through way too easy.
Is there a better team to bounce back against than the one on the bottom of the ladder?
Every team's a good team to bounce back against, and our focus is to play the best footy we can, no matter who we're playing against. And we've been somewhere near it for most parts of the season, and last week we weren't there. So as a football club, we have to respond.
So what do you make of Brisbane? Like I said, obviously they lost 9 in a row, very good last week against the Dockers.
Yeah, they're a young team, but very strong in the midfield, and they've certainly been able to be very competitive, especially early in games, and had a good week last week. But we're focused on ourselves, how we play, ensuring we play the best footy we can.
I take it out of the review then it wasn't something that you thought was coaching issues involved in the loss, it was just simply application by the players?
Yeah, we look at how we prepare the players and go, it was the preparation during the week correct, with the meetings leading up to the game right, to get the players in the right headspace to perform. But other than that, it's, if we don't bring effort, and I hate saying that as a coach, but when you're that far off, then you're going to get beat.